Hello my beautiful sisters. In this video I'm going to really pour my heart out, and it's likely I'm going to go deep. So stay with me, because I believe what I'm going to pour out from in here is going to be so worth it. I want to talk again about the inner she, and I want to go deep with this because I'm just in that space right now where I've got so much in my heart that I want to just get out there. I feel it bubbling, and so when I feel like that, I just want to just share and speak and get it out. So we talked before about the inner she. So if you haven't caught up with that earlier video yet about the inner she and the outer she, then please go back and watch that first, because what I'm going to say here really does follow on and digs a bit deeper. So this is really important that we kind of all up to speed when we get to this place. And I just want us to be in this special place at the moment, because I believe that the inner she is a sacred place. Okay, so I'm just gonna breathe, and then I'm gonna say what I need to say. The inner she we talked about before is that part inside of us that gets expressed through the outer she. It's the part of us that no one can see until it is expressed on our outer she externally. The inner she is the place where we are strong, and we are solid, and we are resolute. We are resolutely ourselves. The inner she is what I want to just speak about and build up in us. Without a strong inner she, if we're weak and wobbly there, and it's fluid and it's not strong, we're going to topple over spiritually. We're going to find our souls can shift with the wind to every which and way direction that anybody comes along and inputs into us. So this is really essential that we kind of get this, because we can't be true to ourselves if we don't even know what our truth is. That makes perfect sense, doesn't it? So our inner she is about building our value system. Now, if we're in line with the universe, we're going to have a value system that simply is coming from a place of pure love. The universe operates in the language of and the law of love. It is pure love. And that is why some people equate that to God or source or whatever you want to say. But essentially, the energy of the universe is pure love. So to line ourselves up with the universe, we need to be very mindful that our inner she is going to promote and be built on a platform of pure love. So that, of course, starts with ourselves. We need to hold in our hearts a really strong sense of love for ourselves. Now, as women, we have struggled with this historically, traditionally, in the way in which we are nurtured and cultured. So this is a journey all of itself, the love aspect for what we need to have for ourselves. Our values then need to be based in a place of love, coming from a place of love. Our values need to represent in every aspect love as its baseline. So, for example, my value system needs to be something that sets the bar really high for myself. I have high expectations of myself because I want to move into it. It's not going to be a place of doing other people down, or a place of wanting to hurt others, or a place of hatred, or a place of resentment. Can you see how those negative emotions and they are valid because we've been hurt, but those things are not from a place of love, and they're not from a place of love to the other, and they're not from a place of love to ourselves. So there is a journey to go on here within ourselves. So this is why I'm always talking about get your journal out, get your sparkly notebook out, write these things down, and as we start to journal these things out and talk about them with ourselves, in our quiet, reflective moments, in our meditations, whatever it is we choose to do, these things, the universe will just start to speak with us and speak to our inner she, and we can kind of get this stuff out and deal with it. And of course, this is why we're in a sisterhood, so that we can be vulnerable enough to share these deep things in our hearts and know for sure that we are accepted and we are loved and we are held. You know, there's not a woman amongst us that hasn't made mistakes. There's not a woman amongst us who doesn't feel this way. There's not a woman amongst us who is perfect, whatever perfect even means. We've all come from this place of woundedness. The feminine has been wounded, and it's been wounded a long time. It's not even us that's wounded. It's the legacy that's passed down from mother to daughter, mother to daughter, mother to daughter for thousands of years. So this isn't even our problem in a way, but it is our problem because we live it out. But it's not something that we've intentionally created ourselves. So it's time that we deal with the wounded feminine, and it's time that we look at our inner she and make that inner she strong. So my challenge is to explore what our values are. What do you stand for? What is it that makes you strong on the inside? And I believe that some of my core values are a belief in family, a belief in a strongness of connection of relationships, and obviously my strong desire to build a sisterhood. That is one of my values. Another of my values is honour. I want to honour everyone I meet. I never want to be in a place of judgment, and it's a difficult challenge because people say things and do things, and we feel a little triggered by that. But we must always respond from a place of not judging them, even though we feel really, triggered and riled up the wrong way and all the rest of it, because we've got to be careful we don't add to this wounded feminine and this wounded soul that they hold through our response. So I'm going to do another video at some point about responding and reacting and the difference between them. So I wanted to kind of not go too far into that at this point. But I would encourage us to look at our responses and see, is this a response or is this a reaction, and to feel the difference in our inner she. So yes, values. We've been talking about values. So those are some of the things that I've been working on. Another part of our inner she, as we've talked before, is our divine purpose, and knowing what our divine purpose is. And we've talked a lot about that, so I don't want to again talk about that too much, but I would encourage you to know from the universe what your divine purpose is. What is your divine calling? What is it that is driving you forward on a spiritual level? What is it that's moving you to a place where you want to bring something to the universe that is going to be of huge impact and huge benefit, even if it's just to one person. Even if it's just to one person. We're called to light the touch paper, I believe. So some of us are going to be called to just light the touch paper for one other person. But when we light their touch paper, they're going to be changing the world. They're going to be doing something we could never dream of, but they couldn't have done that unless we'd been behind them. So that's another thing to consider as well. So also in our inner she, the place where we are strong, our core values, our divine purpose, our self-identity. Do we know who we really are? Do we know on a spiritual level, on a consciousness level, that I am more than a name, and I am more than skin and bone, and I am more than my thoughts, and I am definitely more than titles and job descriptions and the things that I do. The feminine is about being, remember. It's about being. It's about existing. It's about flowing together. So, have I really got a strong handle on who I am in terms of an eternal concept, in terms of a spiritual concept? Do I know that I am powerful? Powerful, powerful, powerful. Do you know how powerful you are? That one sentence, one word spoken into somebody's life can change their perception. Do you know what? Because we have that power. We have the power to speak into somebody's life with one thing and change their idea about their own self. We can build them up, or we can totally decimate them. We know this is true because all of these things we have done. We have said things that have cut somebody down like a sword cutting them in two. We have done that. I have done that. We have all done that. And that is what I mean when we talk about killing the soul. That thing that comes into your life and feels like you've been sliced into. And for me, if you've listened to the video where I talked about my story, the man who came and told me my personality was all wrong and everything that had been put into me for my entire life was wrong. That was that moment for me, and it felt like I had been cut in two. Now, don't get me wrong, sometimes people do need to hear the truth, and sometimes it is the right thing to say to people to get them shifted. But we can generally well assume that if something we're going to say is going to kill somebody's soul and slice them in two, it's probably not the best thing to say. There are other ways to communicate. So, only ever do that if you really feel that needs to be absolutely solidly said to such a person. So, our self-identity I was talking about, wasn't I? Do we know who we are? Do we truly know who we are? Do we really move in our feminine powers, our intuition, our creativity, our healing gifts? Do we really use those? So I'm on a journey when I want to explore that more and more and more. More and more and more. Now, for me, I can tell you that I've come to a place where I know that I have a strong intuitive gifting. And there are many, many women around the world who feel the same. And many women who feel they can communicate to trees and through rocks and use crystals and all of those kinds of things, or they might use cards, or they might use all kinds of different methods to intuit things. And I want to say, for me, I don't do any of those things because I want to understand that I am powerful. I am powerful on my own, and I don't need kind of props to do that. And I understand that I have an understanding with the universe that the universe will give me divine kind of messages to speak in somebody's life when I need to do that, and I can tune into that without the use of anything else, because me, myself, and I the power's here. It's not out here with the things. Do you see what I mean? Now, maybe some of you may think differently on that, but I'm just sharing from my heart. And I want to be in a powerful place. I want to be the kind of woman who can speak. And it's like when I speak, gold comes out. Do you know what I mean? And I kind of said that in a video before. What you're going to get from me is pure gold. And then I played that back one day, and I thought, maybe that sounds a little arrogant or a little bit forthright. And then I thought about it again, and I thought, no, I know who I am. I know who I am. I know that I'm powerful. I know that I have words to say, and I know that what I can say can impact you and impact anyone for better or worse. And so this is me, and this is how I feel. So again, we're all on a journey with these things, and we're all at different places. And I'm not saying that I've arrived. We never really arrive. We don't arrive. It's not a question of destination. It's a question of breathing and existing and being, just being in that space. Okay, it's not about a destination, because it's not about A to B. And remember that time, in as far as the universe is concerned, time is just a construct that we have made. People have made that, and in the universe, it operates in an eternal sense. Excuse me. It operates in an eternal sense, and so therefore time is of no relevance. And if we can get ourselves into that space and we understand that, we begin to understand how we fit into that as a being. Okay, so this is what I want for you to just hear my words and go on your own kind of revelatory journey with what I'm talking about here. Okay, so the inner she, it's a beautiful place. It's a sacred place. It's the part of us that connects on an energetic level to other people and to our source. However you want to describe that. If you believe in a personal God, wonderful. If you believe just in the universe as a life force, wonderful. Whatever you choose and however you choose to frame that is yours to make. But what I would say is, be mindful that there is more than just you yourself. Yes, we are powerful beings and we walk in this sacred space, and we are there, but we are not the emanators of this life force, in the sense that we don't create it. It's something that we are enveloped into ourselves, if that makes sense. So in a sense, I'm not saying we are God. We're not God, but we are expressions. We are expressions of that. We are vehicles of that. I'm going really deep now. So, and I'm sure that some of you have got lots of things to say about all this. So I would want you to come back and talk to me about it, because it's absolutely wonderful to hear your hearts. And I want us to be in a place where we can share and be honest with each other and open and vulnerable and still be loved and accepted, even though we may disagree. And that's okay. That's okay. Really, really is. Really, really is. So, the sacred. Oh, the sacred is such a wonderful place, isn't it? It's a place of bliss. It's a place of where we can receive. We can receive good things. We can receive good things from the universe. And I would just encourage us to sit in a quiet place and just open our hearts up to that sacred place, wherever you find that, and hear about how amazing and set apart and how wonderful you are as a being and how powerful you are as a being, because all of those things are totally true. So when we've got these things in our inner she in a solid way, we can be strong. So also in our inner she, we have boundaries. Now, boundaries, oh, good old boundaries. This is a hard, difficult thing to talk about, because again, we've had our boundaries walked all over. We've had our boundaries messed about with, and this is going to cause a lot of us pain when we start really digging deep about boundaries. I know this. I do. I really, really do. What's happened in my life is that I'm going to share with you about a dream I had in a minute, but what's happened in my life is that I grew up in a very strict household with parents that were very, very particular, certainly my mum, very particular. And when you grow up under that kind of regime, is the word, you have boundaries, but they're not your boundaries. They're somebody else's boundaries. And they're well intended to keep you safe, and they're well intended to make you feel like you had the best. It's literally, a boundary is literally putting a fence around your soul. So when you're young, your parents, if they are good parents, will do that, and they will help set the boundaries, because a small child can't do that for themselves, and that's right and good. But as the young person grows, the idea is that those boundaries that are in place by the parents slowly get replaced by the boundaries that the person develops for themselves. But when we grow up as young women and we have boundaries enforced on us, what happens, and what happened to me, was I didn't develop my own boundaries. I actually just adopted their boundaries as my own, and never really identified that that was the case. And that is a problem, because we, like I said before, we are our own women, and we need to have our own boundaries, and we need to know, and we need to be identifying them. Otherwise, if we don't, we just become people pleasers. We just do what everybody else expects us to do. And if we don't have our own boundaries, we just adopt other people's boundaries that have been imported into us, or forced on us, or expected of us. We don't know where we stand. So it's really, really important to have our own boundaries. And just 2 nights ago, I had a very vivid dream. And the dream was that I was at a festival with all my lovely sisters. We were having a lovely time. We were free, we were open, we were relaxed, we were sharing. We were being very intimate in a sisterly way with our hearts. And the festival was very successful. And more women gathered and came to join us. And as I looked, I saw a man and a lady there who I, in my natural life, would identify them as very controlling. And they were there in this dream. And they showed up, and they started putting up fences on our festival site. And they started putting up notices and saying, you can't do this and you can't do that. You can't do this and you can't do that. This is no longer allowed. And there were reasons for it. And some of them were good reasons, and some of them were just silly reasons. Because the boundaries are there to keep people safe, but then sometimes boundaries can be there and they're put in place, and what happens is the person isn't trusted to make their own decision and their own common sense. So we need to be very careful with these things. So, and then I woke up, and then I understood what that dream meant. And the dream was basically telling me that the fences were other people's fences. They weren't my fences, they were other people's fences. But I accepted them. But even though these fences were not my choice, and they were making me feel very, very uncomfortable. And I understood then that I have adopted other people's boundaries into my life and not developed my own. So this is where I'm at right now, because this dream happened to me literally 2 nights ago. And so I know for sure that this boundary setting in our inner she is super, super important. We need to set our own boundaries. We need to set our own boundaries, and we need to be able to say, this is how far you're coming into my life, and you're not going to step over my threshold, because my inner she is sacred, and my inner she is me, and I want to stay in my place as a queen. And the inner she is solid, and you're not going to rock me by crashing into my boundaries and telling me I'm wrong and telling me my truth isn't my truth, or any of those things. Okay? Any of those things. A boundary is literally a fence, and we can put up a fence. It's not to keep people out, it's to keep us safe. All right? It's to keep us safe. And it's to do with being strong enough to know what we want to have and what we don't want to have. So in my life, I have a person that called me bitch, and it was done kind of in jest. I was really uncomfortable with that because I'm really busy on my journey and sharing with you guys about how to be a queen, and knowing that I'm going to walk in as a queen in this world, and understanding where my power comes from a source in the universe. I'm not going to have somebody in my life tell me then that I'm a bitch, even in jest. I'm just not going to have it. It's an affront to my soul. And so I am in a place where I have to address this, and I have to say, you will not do that. You will not do that. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Now, I suspect the person may be offended that I've said that, or try and make out that they were just joking or something like that. But even so, that's my boundary line, and it will not be crossed. Remember that? You remember that part in Lord of the Rings when he puts the spear down and he says, "You shall not pass." Right? That's the attitude we've got to have in our hearts. That is the attitude when it comes to our boundaries. You shall not pass. Okay? And I know this is a difficult journey, and I'm struggling with this too. But we're on this together. So I'm asking my sisters to raise me up and hold my hand and stand me up in this and give me some good input on this, okay? Because this is my weak area. And as we do, and I can give to all of you guys other things that are gold in my heart. So if you're finding this helpful, then that's fantastic. That's fantastic. So my message is in this video, and I know I've spoken for a long time now, that we need to be strong in our inner she. That inner she that we talked about, the values, the honour, the self-identity, the sacred, and boundaries in our inner she go together to make us strong. And that's what we need to be, strong on the inside. And remember, I said it's unshakable. Unshakable. That's what we need to be. Unshakable. Unshakable sisterhood. Okay? And when we're all unshakable, we're standing next to each other, and we're all standing, and we all helped each other rise. Whoa. Whoa is all I can say. That's a powerful place, isn't it? That is a powerful place. So I'm going to leave it there for now, because I've talked for so long, and I knew I was going to. And I love your hearts, and I want you to get in touch with me, and I want you to come join our Facebook page, Heart Maidens on Facebook. And I so love you, and be blessed, my sisters.